Today, we're going to talk about red flags that should make any empath run. It's so funny. I am getting into this video and I'm having all of the throat chakra stuff happening, so I can tell that this might be a good message. Let me get my hair out of my earrings. I can tell that this is going to be a good message. So, for those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and we are going to talk about these things that should make any empath run. Now, here's what I want you to understand. Empaths, light workers, earth angels, he will be triggered often by people who want to be in your energy. So if we are earth angels, what would it be likened to that we would attract, which would be earth demons? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can adjust my light here. Don't mind me with my MacGyvering. Okay. MacGyvering with my rain stick. Let's see if I can bring the light down just a little bit. Okay. Oh, that was bright. It was in my eyes. Okay. So, if it stands to reason that we are earth angels, it means that we will to some degree attract earth demons. So that's something that you need to understand, kind of prepare yourself for. It's just par for the course. Mm. So that is something that sometimes we are not paying attention to. Sometimes we think that someone just has a personality issue. Sometimes we think that it's something that can be overlooked. Sometimes we think that if we give enough grace that the behavior will change. What I've learned in my life is that it doesn't change, that people are essentially who they are, that doesn't really ever like deviate. They don't deviate from the path of that. They are very comfortable being who they are, and if they're wreaking havoc in your life, they are very comfortable wreaking havoc in your life. So it's something to pay attention to. Now, some of the red flags that come up for me, so I'm just going to obviously go from some of what my experiences have been, and one of them, that's the biggest one, and I was discussing it last night with a friend. One of the biggest ones is when someone tells you that you're extra, okay? So if someone says to you that you're extra earth angel, this is not your tribe. A lot of times, and I certainly remember in my high school days and all throughout my life, people have been like, you're extra, you're extra, you're extra. Yes, those extra energies that I trafficked in also translated into award-winning whatevers, depending on what I was competing in. It translated into A pluses. It translated into opportunities. It translated into scholarships. It translated into trips where I was sponsored to go represent our country at the Capitol. So my extraness always paid off in different ways. It translated in Girl Scout competitions where my troop ended up winning out of the state. And it wasn't just because of me. Obviously, it was a team effort. But I definitely had my contribution. Your extraness is so much more valuable than I think you guys realize. And I think that that is something that is weaponized against empaths, is that people will say to us, you are so extra, and it's supposed to be an insult. And what I now see it as is a tell of some narcissistic energy in the midst, or some toxic energy. They may not all be narcs, but oh my god, can they definitely be toxic. And I don't care if it's your friends, your family members, your lovers. I don't care if it's your old high school ace boom coons, people that you grew up with that you were like, these people would never, they absolutely adore me. No, if someone's telling you they're extra, they're trying to diminish you. I got such a clear view of that recently. You guys that are my A1 day ones saw the video where I talked about the shoes. There were so many lessons that I extracted from that, and they paralleled other things that had happened in other relationships that I may not have been really paying attention to. But because it happened, it was such a concise lesson, and I'm able to share it with you. That was one of the things that was said, even upon our disembarkation, as she was trying to run things by my bestie. You know, I think that Monette's a really nice person. She's just extra. Well, it was something she had said to me too. And what it reminded me was of Pimpology 101, where someone is breaking you down, or even military energy, where they put you in the military. Good morning, Alexandra. Hello, first time catching the live. Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, I didn't think anybody was going to pop on. It's so early Eastern time here in America. So wherever you are from, please tell me where you're from, Alexandra. So nice to have you. And what time is it in your part of the world, wherever that may be. And so I remember thinking about some of the things that happened. There was also a situation that happened recently too, guys, that I thought was a good teaching moment. Mm, Regarding, there's a coach named Stormy, and she was at a barbecue. She put on a women's retreat, and pardon me as I get rid of my gum. She was at a barbecue, and she was chastising someone's plate, and she said that the woman next to her had a low vibrational plate, that you shouldn't accept what you're given. She was pointing in her plate. She had her legs spread wide. She was, and the reason I say that is she looked rather ghetto and hood herself. And she was saying that's the plate of a hood rat. She's licking her fingers. She has her fingers in this other person's plate, and she's essentially telling the person she's extra. Like you have too much either carbs on your plate or this or that. They had the same food on their plate. The only difference was the one girl had buns on her plate, various buns depending on what if she had a burger or a slider or whatever, and the other girl had chicken and corn and the same exact food. It was barbecue food. Barbecue food is only so elevated. But she was like, that's low vibrational. And I remember listening to her. You can guys go watch the clip. It just went viral recently. And I was thinking, this is a person who plays on people that are insecure. And even the woman who was being talked down to and shamed was immediately like, she's trying to teach me something, y'all. And I was like, this is weak minded behavior right here. And my sweet empaths, a lot of you guys will have had people try to snack you, try to control you, and try to make you see things from their point of view. And it's ridiculous. That was so rude and so presumptuous and also so hypocritical because they had essentially the same food on their plate, and the coach was being more, girl, I gotta say coach, more low vibrational, because she was not only being mean and crude and delighting in tearing someone down because it gave her a payoff to be in a position of power, but because um it's also a way to break people down. It's also a way to break people down, and people that want your energy, and it's a way to steal energy. So let's talk about that. People that want your energy will come at it from that perspective. You will not see it happening, and it'll be quite insidious, and you'll be like, well, wait, why did they say it like this, or why did they do it, or am I doing something that's low vibration? No, you're not. And no, are you too extra? Are we all extra? Absolutely. Was she extra? Yeah, she was. But you have to find your tribe. So in my experience that I had, I definitely clocked that person trying to tell me that. The reason that this was interesting to me is because the person had sought me out for a connection. As a lot of my empaths, you will be sought out by narcissists for connection. They will want to connect with you, or toxic people or opportunistic people. They will want to connect with you. They will want to play ball with you, and they will want an energy exchange. What they really want is a hit off of your energy. But they're embarrassed because they couldn't live their life out loud. They couldn't let their freak flag fly, whatever you want to say. And then they'll try to diminish you so that you can curtail some of your behavior. Well, at my ripe old age, thank God, that was not something that was going to happen. But and when I was younger, it certainly did. And for my younger empaths and earth angels watching, you may be subject to that. But anytime someone tells you that you're extra, meaning your emotions, that's one of the ways that they love to attack us. Your emotions are extra, or you're extra in general, then that is a flag, okay? And I would run. Anytime someone is trying to isolate you, this is a flag. Run. And this will be done very insidiously, depending on our attachment styles. People that are manipulators will figure out a way to get into the space in your head where they can siphon or they can kind of spirit you away to their own magical land, whether it's in their head. Narcissists create worlds in their head, and in order for their world to be valid, they need you to participate and validate it, that the way that they are seeing things is in fact the real way that it is existing, and the rest of it. It's a really interesting and tricky game, and if you're not paying attention, you'll be absolutely caught up and not realize that someone has kind of got you involved in a fantasy land. And what they will do is they will seek to absolutely have you be away from your tribe, people that love you, people that you've always connected with, people that have been a source of inspiration or goodness or family or solid, and they will try to isolate you. That's a red flag. Run. We don't think about that. And I'm going to hop back to the extra part. Your extra is what makes you unique and special. Whatever way you traffic in that is how you are supposed to be. That's how you were designed to show up in the world. I could no more stop myself from being extra than I could anything else. And what I mean by that is the very things that people chastise me for, my sharp intuition, my big dreaming ability, my ability to manifest and be a visionary about what I would like for my life. People were like, Monette, you're ridiculous. How do you see this? This is a whatever. But I always had a vision for how something could be. And there isn't anything that I haven't envisioned that hasn't come to fruition, even if I didn't purposely orchestrate it. The ability for me to be extra and grandiose in my imagination is what really gravitated a lot of things to me. And it is the same ability you have. Also, all of those things that people chastise and that they were embarrassed about and that they chose other people over. And this happened to me my whole life. So it wasn't just a one off or a two off. All my life, y'all, I had to fight with people that were like, you're embarrassing or this is whatever. It is the very thing that not only am I lauded for today, but it's the very thing that pays my bills. It's the very thing that facilitates my travel. It is the very thing, it's the very reason that people are like, we want you to come speak here or do this or organize that or run this. It's because of my extraness. And I didn't waver in that. I realized that it was an asset. So please embrace your extraness in whatever way you can. Another flag that I think that we overlook is when someone is being incredibly codependent and wanting to fully enmesh with us, okay? Mm. That codependency is a big warning sign because what it's indicative of is someone who is wanting to maybe body snatch you. That's a flag. If someone has group or hive think, that is not a place that you can reside, and it's not a place you can stay. We empaths are individuals. It doesn't mean that we will not find our tribe. I find that we find it later in life, okay? It does mean that what you're supposed to be doing in that moment is figuring out where you end and they begin. Codependency and enmeshment is a huge thing that we deal with as empaths, and it's one of the big lessons that we incarnate here to learn. And so we will have toxic relationships aplenty until we figure that out. It is something that, um, you know, it's really important to spend some time with yourself understanding your attachment style. There are all kinds of tests and psychological tests. I read a lot of psychology today. There are all kinds of ways that you can kind of like do a litmus test for what your attachment style is. But spend some time understanding that. Are you anxious avoidant? Are you anxious attached? Whatever, right? I'm not your psychologist, but go do a research. You know, physician, heal thyself. You're fully capable of doing that. When you know what your attachment style is, what you will do is you will facilitate for yourself the ability to be able to get into a relationship and know where your boundaries are. Because codependency is the erasure of boundaries. And if someone is like wanting to trauma bond with you and really delighting in the codependency of that, I'm getting throat chakra hits as I'm talking right here. So let me tell you, I'm going to ring my throat chakra bell and see if we can't clear that up energetically. What I'm going to tell you about that is that, yeah, you have to have your voice. I think that's really what the specific message is. So try to remember that. And that's a flag. If someone is delighting in not just isolating you, but like it's just me and you and you can't have any other friends or whatever, that is a red flag, okay? And that's one of the ones that I think we get flattered in because who doesn't want a good bestie? Who doesn't want a good friend or whatever the case may be? But even in the relationships that I've cultivated in this part of my life, those friendships come with a caveat of understanding that I will have other friendships and they will have other friendships. And it means that we have our connection and it's wonderful and lovely and I nurture it and I laud them and they have access to me in a certain way. And it also means that other people can have access to within reason and while protecting myself. I don't know that as empaths that for me, I found that my reclusiveness is really helpful in order to really decompress and understand because we all have people pleasing tendencies that are latent and just under the surface. And it's really important to say yes or no, no more often than not, so that you understand exactly where you stop and someone else begins. And it takes practice, guys. But if someone is pushing for a quick answer, if someone's trying to push you into a relationship dynamic, that is a huge red flag. Another thing that I think that we don't pay attention to is how we feel. Empaths, we are literally called that because it's about our emotions and how we feel. I was made fun of all my life for that. Oh, you will have too many feelings. Little did I know that my feelings again would end up paying my bills, and that my feelings were so accurate. And this is what I want you to understand about yourself, that people communicate with me to bounce ideas off of me in order to validate their emotions, right? And I try to always do that without codependency. I try to empower each client, each friend, each whomever I am working with. But what you have to understand is that uh, people for years tried to get me to not believe my own brain, and they tried to gaslight me out of what I knew. And the things that I knew started to freak me out too. I'm not going to lie. An empath, you will get to a point where you will ascend and ascend and ascend in your own personality and in your own emotional wherewithal and your own intuition, and no one can shake it from you. It came to a point in my life, and this is why it's such an important skill set and such a red flag if someone's trying to talk you out of it to run from. It came to a point in my life where it saved my life time and time again. When I exited the cult, I had a flash of people turning into canine dogs, but not like dogs that were friendly, but dogs like specifically one woman transformed into a German Shepherd in front of me. That was my intuition and my feelings and emotions. When I had bestie breakups with toxic people that were drug addled and demon filled, I saw physical representations of that. I also felt things. I also heard conversations that I wasn't in the room to hear. I could repeat back verbatim what they had said, even though they didn't understand it or how I got it so clear. So the very thing that people tried to gaslight me out of believing about myself, my capability, I decided, oh no, this is not only my capability, it's the greatest strength. So it is a red flag when someone wants to warp the confines of reality, and narcissists love to do that. In the experience I had with the last person, the House of Gucci, we shall call her from now on, um, in that experience, she did a lot of slippery things, and I'm a three strikes person, so I pay attention. That I really try to help people, because see, one of the things you guys don't realize is that as empaths, and maybe you do, we are gifted and we are essentially doctors, emotional doctors. So we can help people, and we can even help to heal people that are extremely toxic, and it's why they gravitate towards us. But if they start to want to pull your energy and pull you into the dark side, and they want to start to warp your reality, then you have to disembark. And that's definitely what I did. But I noticed her doing weird little things, and I gave her, like we talked about, a few chin checks, a few little, this is not okay. And then I realized, oh, you are very entrenched in your behavior, and it's not going to shift. Okay. So pay attention to how you feel around people, because they will try to get you to shift your behavior. They will try to get you to shift your perspective. The narcissist loves to tell you the sky is yellow when in fact it is blue and white or clear and whatever. So the narcissist will do that. A toxic person will do that, because all that matters is that you lean into and yield your reality. And what I noticed was all of the same tactics that the military uses, whether the narcissist does it consciously or subconsciously, they're doing the same things to break you down, because they want to rebuild you in their perfect image, because they know so much better than you what you should be. And they hate that you have your own autonomy, your own ideas, and that you have pushback. And so push back. I once had the cult leader tell me, the problem with you, Monette, is that you always kick against the pricks. I will never forget that, because it was the first time I'd heard that phraseology. So, kick against the pricks. And so what it means essentially is that I bucked the system. I asked questions. I dared challenge the status quo. I didn't eat the peanut butter out of the jar that was the Costco sized jar that was passed around as an exercise. I was always highly alert to my intuition that even though I was in the cult, this is wild as the Taliban and crazy, and I need to always be planning my escape. When I was dealing with that last relationship dynamic, friendship dynamic, what I realized is that this person wanted my energy, loved my energy, had stalked my energy, had asked me for a year and a half to 2 years to be a more intimate and closer friend with them, so to cross over, to like really connect. And upon having me in their atmosphere, it wasn't a matter of a couple weeks before the mask started to slip, and they couldn't keep up the facade of all of the wonderfulness that they thought that they were. And I had made it really clear that I was vetting that person, as I think all empaths should do. I don't think you need to go around and say that to make people feel badly, but for whatever reason, I was guided intuitively to manage it a certain way. And I remember about a week or two before I decided, we've done our work here. My work is done with you. She said, I know I've passed your test. I know that you're not vetting me anymore. I'm the real deal. And I thought it was interesting, because her test, or what she thought I was testing, was completely different. I was looking for generosity of spirit. I was looking for integrity. I was looking for someone who wasn't going to gaslight me. I was looking for someone who wasn't going to gaslight themselves. Another red flag is someone who lies to themselves, guys. We all can tell a lie, yes, and we all can be in a state of delusion. I certainly have been, about relationships, about my own reality, about my health. We all have delusional states that we will get into. People get in delusional states about addictions, about partners that they're attracted to but they know are toxic. We have fabulous ways of kidding ourselves. But when I am observing someone who is lying to themselves about who they are, who does not see their own hypocrisy, because we all, if you're healthy, you can see hypocrisy that may exist in you, or you can see where you may need some improvement. When I deal with somebody that doesn't see that but has a delight in pointing it out for other people, this is a red flag, because what they will do is find ways to break you down, and it's not going to be a volley of let's get better together. It is going to be, this is an absolute, I am sure about this with you, and they will spend a lot of time trying to gaslight you into seeing it from their perspective. And then if you are weak-minded, like the woman that I was watching telling herself she was a bad person because she had a low vibrational plate, absolutely insane. um uh, if and the reason I say that is because if that Stormy lady had a plate that had quinoa and tofu and whatever, and high vibing foods, which would be alkaline foods, maybe more pescatarian, more vegetarian, that would be one thing. But she was eating exactly the same thing minus the bread. That's it. That's all. And maybe it was the way that it was assembled. Whatever. It was so hypocritical and strange. And when I saw Stormy, I actually thought of the House of Gucci. I thought, this is the same exact person. They are the same exact, this is a pimp mindset. And what's interesting is Stormy's backstory, because I researched it because I'm a nerd and I was curious. She was actually raised by pimps. She was actually raised, she had some issues with abandonment in her family and bad parenting, and actual pimps on the street raised her and talked down to her the very same way that people are now paying her lots of money to talk down to them, because they need a parent, and that's the only parenting style that she knows. A lot of people, especially us empaths, will get into the thrall of a narcissistic or toxic person who has never unlearned their stuff. It doesn't mean that we all have not been succumbed to toxicity in our life, but it's how we transmute it. I had an incredibly abusive narcissistic father. That didn't turn me into a sociopath, it turned me into an empath. Does that make sense? But for some people, it turns them into controlling, low vibrational, opportunistic sociopaths. And you have to pay attention to those red flags. How does that person make you feel? I've had family members, I've had friends, and that may be another video that I make, but pay attention to how someone makes you feel. My time around the House of Gucci started to be taxing. It started to be draining emotionally, energetically, and financially. This person that was like, I'm a power team with you. I'm a little bit by yourself, but we're a force and we're together. I have so much to offer you. I want to be your armor bearer. I want to be this and that. That person was talking a good game, but in their own life lacking integrity and follow through. I remember having an old covert narc who advised me once, pay attention to these flags, man, that she advised me once about something, not to do something that she in fact later did exactly to the T. She said something to me like, do you want to lose your job? And do you want to this and that? And it was advice that, at the time, I took because I thought, well, it's good advice, but I'm a taker of advice if my soul aligns with it. And I knew what she was saying was the truth. But she was a complete and total hypocrite, the worst one I've ever known in my life, because she did, in fact, later do exactly what she advised me not to do. She took not a modicum of her advice and delighted in just bucking the system completely, but not in a good way. You know, that guy that said I bucked the system, that's because he didn't like that I asked questions. Another red flag, if someone doesn't want you to ask questions. If you are in a relationship with someone, this is a partner, a lover, a friend, whatever the case may be, and you have been in this relationship with them for a long period of time, and they start saying to you that you can't ask them questions, or they start getting angry or upset because you're asking them questions, y'all, you better run. That is a huge red flag, because whatever question you're asking, you already know the answer to. And that's something I want you as empaths to be very cognizant and aware of. You already know the answer to your question, mama. You already know the answer to your question, fine sir. So pay attention to that. If someone pushes back on you, I have a video here from years ago where I says, if you have to start asking questions in your relationship, if you have to become a detective in your relationship, they're cheating. So even if it's not cheating in the normal sense, if a friend starts to feel betraying and slippery to you and you don't trust them anymore, you're right. You don't have to have a mountain of empirical evidence. You just need your intuition. That's why I say the first red flag is someone that's going to tell you you're too extra, you lean too much into your feelings, everything's not that serious. You are putting 20 on 10, they will try to get you to be convinced of, but the truth is that 20 on 10 saves your life again and again and again. And in so many instances, I've had flashes of someone going to throw me off a roof, and then later this person ends up doing something murderous. I've had people tell me, I wouldn't trust that monette as far as I could throw her. It's because their demons knew that I could see through them. I've talked to you guys about this. I keep saying I'm going to make a video about it. Maybe someday I really will. But they ended up being indicted by the FBI. And I sat at the lunch table in our dining area in the corporate America space that I was working, and I gave a reading for long before I really even was doing this officially to someone. I said, "Your hands are in too many cookie jars. This, and that. This is going to cost you greatly." I thought I was talking to him about cheating, which he was also doing. But it turns out that he was cheating the government, that he was being followed by the FBI, that he was felonious. But this was someone that had told another person, I wouldn't trust that monette as far as I can throw her. People that see your light will try to make everybody else see you as the dark and see you as the issue. It's just because you can see through their bullshit. So they want to break that down in you. It wasn't me that was behind bars, it was him. And I was right. But I didn't understand that. And sometimes empathy will not get the full, excuse me, you will not get the full understanding of why you feel creeped out. Now, one of the things that I've taught about here that I was downloaded with from my angels is why you are having spiritual hives. And the acronym is hearing intuitively vicious or varying energy that's being sent your way. Hives, hives. You are having hives about people. You're breaking out into spiritual hives, and people will be like, oh no, it's you that's crazy. So when they start to do that, baby, run. It's a red flag. Back to, how do you feel? How do they make you feel? I assessed the way that I felt around that person, and the way that I felt was nervous. I felt not safe. I felt judged. I felt not really embraced. Now, it helps to have formulated some healthy relationships in your life, because then you have something to juxtapose it against. For a lot of us empaths, we're coming from relationship dynamics and family members that cause us to feel that all the time, right? So we're used to that and we may gravitate towards that. As you start to get healthier, you will gravitate towards relationships that make you feel loved and supported. I'm so fortunate to have been blessed and gifted with earth angels at this point in my life, but it's because I did a lot of my healing work and a lot of my shadow work, and a lot of you guys that are here for a few years watch me do it. So I did that, and I've been doing it for years, but man, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm so grateful for the really debaucherous demons that were in my life, because they elevated me. And what I will tell you is that it helped me though to manifest real relationships. So being fully cozily loved by people that adore me, that I adore, that I value, that I think are good humans, that are honest, that are integral, that don't move shady, helped me to have a frame of reference. And even though I didn't think about it that way as I've been engaging in these relationships, when it came time to assess the red flags of a toxic person, it was so evident and clear. Another red flag is that they will tell you that the relationships that you are in are too good to be true, where there is something wrong with them. They will start to try to dismantle and pick them apart. That toxic person wanted me to herself, and that's okay. Empath, that is something you will have to fight all of your life, okay? Unless someone is healthy and likes their alone time and has done their work, a toxic person will kind of want you to just be their own good luck charm, because they recognize that you are in fact a good luck charm. So she started to try to pick apart at my bestie relationship, or in my marriage, or here, there, and anywhere she could. What she was appalled by was how well people treated me, and it's because I treat people well. And what she was intimidated by was, my God, I want to keep her to myself, and if I keep her to myself, is she gonna expect me to treat her this way? And it was so funny to me. She made some really mean accusatory statements, and they were completely unbased. Like they had no base in reality. And I called her on it. I was like, why would you even say that? That's nothing I've ever done to you, said to you, asked if you were expected of you. And then after she calmed down, red flag, she admitted that just for funsies, she threw that out there. She was like, "No, you've never made me feel." In fact, what she had accused me of, I had been doing for her happily and graciously, and so it was really interesting. She said it. Just it was a really great experience because I was not emotionally invested to where it was devastating. It was just more like intel for you guys. I was like, it was a science experiment. I was like in the lab letting the thing blow up so that I could come back and be like, these are my findings, Empath. But she said to me, "You never made me feel that way. You've never done that. You've never asked that of me. I just said it because I was mad." Do you ever just get mad and want to say something? And she had several moments like that, red flag, red flag, red flag, in our connection where I was being the sweetest of hearts. I'm not just like painting a pretty picture. I truly was trying to avail myself greatly. And the people pleasing part of me, when I am liking someone and I want to create a friendship, I definitely will make sure that you feel loved. It's not something I do as a love bomb. And you can ask my bestie, you can ask my husband, you can ask the family members that I'm close to. I am consistent for years and lifetimes if you're good to me. That doesn't waver, I don't change, I don't pull back, I don't give you a piece to pull you in like a lot of toxic and narcissistic people will. But I was kind because I thought, oh, this is a friendship, and I just want her to understand this is my love style. This is how I love. This is how I show up for people. And what she told me several times is when she wasn't winning a fight with me, or when I was making too salient of a point, that she would throw in this bomb of a thing that was a complete untruth, only to kind of get me to be all helter skelter and off my game so that she could win whatever the argument was or whatever the point was that was to be made, even if it came at the expense of being lower vibrational and just throwing out a complete and utter lie to try to hurt my feelings. Now, a weak person, as we watch, if you watch that Stormy low vibrational plate situation, would eat that. That woman, within 20 seconds of being insulted, registered, the insult, and then started to talk down on herself. How many of us have done that, Empath? She took in the insult and then started to be like, "Oh, you guys don't understand. What Coach Stormy is teaching me is that it's not okay to accept whatever people put on your plate." No, what Coach Stormy was doing was seeing what a simp you were and how weak you were. And I'm not mad at her. We have all been that girl. That's why my heart broke, because I was like, oh, I remember being so silly as to think someone who was being cruel to me was trying to do it for my betterment. You know, the covert narc that I used to know was like, "I don't want you to get too big headed." So she went out of her way to create escape rooms of mind games and bullshit so that I would never feel happy or loved or nurtured in our relationship. Not really. Would she say nice words occasionally, enough love bombing to keep me sitting exactly where she wanted to sit? Did she really want to love me and be a good friend to me? No, 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 no. Red flag. But she didn't want me to go anywhere. Red flag. How many of you guys have had flags like that? Even if it's in a friends with Benny situation, or in a toxic best friendship, or in a corporate America relationship where they're not giving you enough to really live, but just enough. It's called breadcrumbing. And it's because they have other options or other people they want to entertain or other things that they would prioritize over you in a heartbeat. But they do never, ever, ever want you to prioritize them over anything. So she went out of her way in delighting in negging me. And negging is a technique that's used with dating and or friendships where people point out your negative traits to cause insecurity in you, to make you clamor for their affection and work harder to want to be with them. It's low vibrational. Red flag. If you've ever been negged, this is not a person that cares about you. So that covert narc went out of her way to never really be like, "You're beautiful," or this or that. And she very well, she was racist and there was other things going on. So she very well could have not felt that. Now I have a bestie of her same nationality who is effusively kind, loving, and communicative, who has no problem, and she's gorgeous in her own right. You understand? Meaning she is absolutely a magical skinny legend living her best life. She is beautiful. She does all of the self-care and upkeep that we're both girly in the same ways. It's a delight. It's a freaking delight. But my girliness, my divine feminine energy, my Aphrodite energy, my Venusian energy that I traffic in with that Taurus moon I have, it was a threat to that girl who was used to being pretty, or the pretty one in our combination, and she went out of her way to neg me, not just about beauty but about everything, and out of her way never to praise me. And it was so weird to me to get into a new healthy relationship after I did my work, where someone wasn't giving me red flags but beautiful white flags and flowers, where she was happy to say, you are beautiful, you look great, I'm proud of you, you did this amazing, I'm impressed with what, like, it was just so nourishing to my very thirsty soul after years of a lot of toxic relationships. And I was like, oh, this is what a friendship is supposed to be. It was so nourishing that I thought something was wrong with it. That's a red flag you might want to check with yourself, empath. When you get out of these toxic shithole relationships, you may get with somebody or be sent an earth angel, because this person was sent to me. She was dispatched. The same way that I've been dispatched to people, she was dispatched to me. And it's so funny. You guys know my motto here: earth angels are assigned assholes. I thought, oh my God, Bestie, I was the asshole you were assigned, and I was. When she got me, I was a hot mess. I was a hot, broken mess, and she literally nursed me back to health, and she loved me so completely. But what I will tell you about it is, I thought, oh my God, this is too good to be true. What's wrong with her? Why is she so nice to me? Is she gonna be this nice to me in a year? This is a love bomb. Like, when you've gone through narcissistic abuse, you have PTSD. So you might throw away someone who is wonderful and not realize that they were actually sent to help you heal. So be very careful. But you have to be careful, because people will come into your life and they will swear to God they're part of your tribe, like I just had with the House of Gucci. And that girl was literally just a test of my emergency empath broadcasting systems. Was I paying attention? How did she make me feel? Was she going out of her way to be negative? Did she want to break things down? How could you be so in love with me, so enraptured with me, so infatuated with me, so energetically caught up in the connection with me, and then immediately try to break me down? I mean, within a matter of weeks. It didn't take years for that mask to slip. She immediately was trying to break me down, and I realized that these were her truths and her projections. Upon getting to be involved in her life, I saw how she was trying to convince me, like, you don't know how to do this or do that, or take care of this or take care of that. And I will tell you a story here. Super big red flag. I was dropping her off to the airport. She was heading out of the country to go to London, and I was dropping her off to the airport, and she had to check in for her flight, which we all know that you check in for your flights usually within 24 hours of the flight, whatever. Well, it's an international flight. And I said, you can drive to the airport, and then I will drive back, because I didn't know which airport it was at and whatever the case may be. So that's fine. So I'm in the passenger side. And so she had strategically done this. I had asked her before we went to bed, I'm like, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you have all your stuff? I had helped her get ready and do things and pack the snack, and I was just like a good friend, like I would be with anybody, like, all right, girl, you're international, let's go, girl. And it was and I did all the things I felt like, that I would like done and that you should do. So I did that, and I was really clear with her. I was like, make sure you get this done and you check in and you do all that stuff. And she didn't want that, because, toxic people and narcissists, I saw a quote the other day, they want complete control while being doted on like a baby. And I have people that dote on me. I'm not going to tell you a lie. If you're ever in my life, people are very kind and loving to me. That was a trigger for her. But it's because I'm kind and loving to them. When I love someone, I love them so completely. There isn't a friend that I haven't had intimately, and I'm not just saying this to say it, that hasn't said to me, who's going to love me like you've loved me. This has happened repeatedly, that is said to me. And it's because I really pride myself on loving someone. And that doesn't mean always agreeing, always saying yes, always going along to get along. It means that when I love you, you feel it. It's a 360 experience in every way. And so I definitely give what I expect. It's just been not until recently that I've really received back what I have given. It does happen, empaths. Hang on. It does happen, I promise you. So in any case, we're driving. It's a stressful moment. It's early in the morning. I'm not fully awake. and she thrust her phone, which I don't know how to work, because we have different phones, in my hand, and she wants me to check into the airport. She wants me to check into her international flight. She's very persnickety. She's a Virgo. She's very, very persnickety about how things would go. And I thought, and because I had been walking on eggshells a little bit, I thought, if I mess this up, like, guys, I always have nails, right? For the most part. So if I mess this up with my long nails and I hit the wrong button on her phone that I don't know how to work at 3, 4 in the morning, and she misses her international flight that she's paid how much money for to go do this experience, I am never going to hear the end of it. I do not want the responsibility. And my previous old empath self would have done what? What would you do, guys? I feel like we're Dora. Talk back to me, guys. We would have probably tried to people please and make it happen. We would have overridden what felt right for us and done what felt good for her, because what she wanted was what all narcissistic toxic people want, which was to be fully in control and dictate something to me while being doted on like a baby, while trying to convince me that I didn't know how to manage my life, my very adult grown ass life that I've manifested without her, without a lot of help, and with a lot of naysayers. So I was like, I am actually living an adult life. I know how to book tickets and I know how to check in for my flights. And it doesn't mean that people haven't done those nice things for me in my life. It does mean that I don't have an expectation that they are done for me, though, okay? So in any case, she's thrusting her phone in my hand. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. She is really getting agitated. She starts to ramp up the manipulation. She starts to ramp up the caustic communication and language. She starts to change the atmosphere. A narcissist are like mushrooms. They literally create their own weather system. So she changes the atmosphere in the truck, and I'm just like stressed out. I'm in a fight or flight response, and what my angel said is stop and assess exactly how you feel right now. Because this is how a relationship with her will go as you continue into the future. You will feel this level of stress. You will feel pressured. You will be taking on things that are not your responsibility. It was just like red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. It's so funny. I promise you on my phone, as we were driving that morning, I passed a embankment, and it must have been getting ready to be treated by the city or something, and there was just a bunch of red flags. If I can find it, I will put it in my community page. And my angels having to do weird things and take pictures at different times just to remind me like we were communicating with you at them. Everything is a reading, everything is an oracle or tarot card. And in that moment, all those little red flags stuck into the grass on the side of the road was my angel saying, are you paying attention to all of the red flags? I swear to you, I'm finding the picture and I'm putting it in there. Are you paying attention to all of the red flags? I took it from the passenger side of my own ride. In that moment, my angels were like, she is a no. How you feel right now is how you will feel as you continue this connection. So you say, well, Monette, what happened? Well, what happened is I didn't do what she wanted me to do. I pushed back and I told her, I said, that's not my responsibility. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. If I hit the wrong button, all the things I said to you, I'm really honest and fair. I don't play mind games. I was like, I'm not checking into your flight for you. She's like, well, it's not even for that flight. It's for the catching flight for the New York flight. And then this, and I was like, oh no. That's not my responsibility. I said, what we can do at this red light is play chicken, meaning like I can drive, we can get out and switch places, and then you have the rest of the ride to do all of your business. Now, you see how this translates over into the House of Gucci shoes and all of that? This is a person who didn't take care of herself, who was so much older than me, and so prided herself in like, I can take care of myself, but I was watching her life. Pay attention to the toxic person in your life and the red flags. Are they taking care of their life? Is their house in order? Is their life in order while they're talking about you, while they dare opine to gossip about you? Are they together? Are they manifesting well? What is their situation like? What is their relationship like? And I'm not saying you should just have carte blanche to judge, but they are judging you. So save yourself a little time and trouble and a lot of energy and take a good look and give them a heaping helping of that back. You don't have to tell them. I'm not saying to be nasty like they would be to you, but assess them, and I was. And I clocked so many things that were just absolutely hypocritical, that she was trying to groom me into certain behaviors that she herself wasn't even doing for herself. And so I said, no, I'm not. And we rode in an icy silence to the airport, and I dropped her off, and then she called me like a pimp. When I dropped her off and was talking to me, she was like, now, are you okay? And da-da-da-da-da, because she knew I was pissed, because, y'all, I convey that very well. And I said, I'm fine. And she was talking to me, she was like, I'm trying to do this for your betterment because you aren't, you just need to figure out independence. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? For my betterment, I know how to book a ticket. I know how to pay my bills. I know how to do all this stuff. What are you talking about? It was a gaslight, reverse engineer red flag, if ever there was. And that's why my angels had me plotting my escape plan. She wanted to convince me that I was inept and irresponsible and that I didn't know how to take care of myself when she wanted me to take care of her. And I, in fact, knew how to take care of myself. What she was pissed about is that I wouldn't take care of her in that way, because to be taken care of by an empath is a privilege, and it's something that you do if you want to, but it's not something that you do for entitled people that expect it of you. She was literally trying to debo me. If you guys have seen Friday, she was trying to debo me, which means bully me into doing something under duress, and she planned it out because she very well could have done it. And I had asked her repeatedly before she went to bed, hey, do you want to take care of this? You want to take care of that? Okay, I'm going to bed now. Is all your stuff done? Okay, I'll see you in the morning when it's time for us to leave. All of that happened, but she waited strategically because she wanted that experience of me taking care of her while trying to convince me I couldn't take care of myself, and then try to pimp hand talk me afterwards. And I was like, mm-mm-mm. That's when I thought of that Stormy girl. I thought, oh, not today, Satan. You don't get to pimp me for nothing, and I'm not doing that for you. But it's a red flag. Pay attention to the red flags. I promise you, I'm going to find that picture, put it in the community page. Pay attention to the red flags because they will come. People will try you over and over and over again, and you need to run. Don't stay. I don't care if it's your family member. I don't care what it is. People will treat you badly and then be like, what gives? Why don't you want to stick around to be treated badly? I recently had a situation with family where one family member confronted me about another, and they said, she's noticing the distance between you. And I was like, you're goddamn right she is. Of course she's noticing the distance, because she's already given me 3 red flags and I have no more left to give. And I didn't care about the dynamic of the relationship between those two. They love each other very much and they have some codependent enmeshment. But my assignment isn't with the family member she was asking about. My assignment was with the person who was talking to me. And sometimes you'll go into a thing, empath, and you'll think it's one thing and it's really another. And as soon as I realized what it was, I divorced myself of having to be responsible of that other kind of toxic person's energy. That person did similar things to the House of Gucci, meaning she is mean for sport. She likes to provoke people if she can't get a win. She does silent treatments and triangulation. And she just doesn't I don't know how she doesn't realize my work, which is fine because I've kept myself very private. Even in my family, they don't know my life fully. But she is the biggest red flag to me. And I will not spend any time engaging her or giving her an ounce of my magical empath energy. And she feels bad about it. And she feels sad that other people are privy to information about me, or other people have access to just shoot the breeze with me. And when the person asks me, even though I know how close they are and I know that she may very well be a flying monkey, my assignment is that person that was talking to me. And so even though I understood the red flags that were waving, I didn't feel this one person isn't dangerous, but I was like, if you're going to run, tell it fully. Because I've told her directly, but since she doesn't believe me, maybe you could tell her again. She doesn't make me feel safe or good. I did not feel safe or good with House of Gucci. I did not feel safe with my father. So many of us have had multiple experiences. I didn't feel safe with the covert narc. I didn't feel safe with the cult leader. I didn't feel safe with the narcissistic Scorpio boss. We have had many people in our life that we knew we didn't feel safe around, and then we overrid it. The reason House of Gucci didn't get too far with me is because I don't override anymore. The reason that family member can no longer have access to me is because I don't override it. You show me who you are, not just to me, but to other people. Are you tricky, gaslighting, and even to that triangulating, even to the woman that was saying to me, hey, whatever, whatever. She then regales me with a whole story of all of the red flags that the same woman that she's taking up for is giving her. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, well, you can subject yourself to that. I'm not mad at that. Empath, you can't make someone else be on your journey and see the flags that you see. They've got to do that for themselves. But I can lead by example and let them know it won't be me. So she can make you feel crazy, and she can triangulate you, and she can insult you when she can't elicit what she wants from you. She won't do that from me. And if she wants to come at me directly, she's going to get her feelings hurt, because I no longer bite my tongue and swallow my words, especially because I've said things to her directly, as in, this is what you do. I need you to not do this. This is not cool. And then she persisted because she was like, oh, this gets a rise out of you. Now there'll be no more rises that she gets. She'll get cussed out. And I mean it. That's just it. And that's not the place we want to go. But we've talked about it before. We all have a shadow side. So if you're seeing red flags, I would say go the most diplomatic route. A good bit of Libra in my chart. So I definitely try to do that. But the truth of the matter is we can't all be Michelle Obama. Sometimes when they go low, you go to the flow, as they say. And so that's the way that you protect yourself. But pay attention to those red flags. I am watching this family member, and all I can do is teach her from example that I love this person, but she's not going to abuse me. She's not going to gaslight me. There are things that she did in particular that let me know that what she was doing was just to be mean for sport. I watched her with other people, but then with me as well. She attacked something about me that I'm very confident about, which is my intellect. And she said something that was just utterly just mean for funds. And I was like, well, anytime, use that as a gauge if you're doing with a red flag. If someone attacks you about something that you are like literally actually confident about, don't even waste time internalizing it. It made me laugh. And it was literally my get out of jail free card. I was like, oh my God, she's just a hater. Sometimes you have to assess that people are just haters. House of Gucci was a hater. Why do people like you? Why do people treat you well? And I want to be your only person, but I don't want to treat you this well. That's a lot of work. It is. So find people that know your worth, that are willing to put in the work, and find people with whom you know their worth, that you're willing to put in the work. But don't let anybody, friend, family, or foe, treat you like you are their run, tell that hoe. And what I mean by that is someone that they can boss around, someone that they can dictate and peer pressure. That moment with House of Gucci was so powerful. I watched her spin out because I would not acquiesce to her request, and I gave her other solutions to solve it, like, oh, we'll switch places. Oh, we could do this. But what's never going to happen is that I'm going to check in for anything for you. Because, and not because I wouldn't have done that for someone that I love, that had asked me nicely. Would I have done it for my bestie? Probably in a heartbeat. But it would never have happened because my bestie's a mature, responsible person who takes care of her stuff. And even if she didn't and has done things for me, I'm happy to reciprocate because she's fed into me. So check how people make you feel, friend or family, lover or coworker. See how you feel in their presence. And if you feel anxious and stressed out, that's a flag. You don't maybe need a whole field of them. You might just need that one, the most important one, your intuition. How do you feel? So good sharing energy with you. Come back and join me next time and we will continue to evolve together.